Hello all. So today I was being a good little consumer and flipping through what passes for news nowadays, and I came across a little bit of video that rubbed me the wrong way. And as many things these days do, it raised some questions in my disturbed little brain. This is Michigan Democrat Representative Cynthia Johnson. She was elected to the seat of the 5th District in 2018 and re-elected in the general election in November. Some may find her familiar from watching the news of the state House hearings on December 2nd of this year, where she accused witnesses Hema Kalangareddy, Melissa Carone, and Jesse Jacob of lying. She said, specifically, "I know they're lying."
In this room, I have emails from Detroiters. We've taken, what, 2 hours?
Did you have a question? I'm willing. Please stop yelling. People in the audience, let me handle this. Representative, listen, we've had hearings in the past, as you know. We'll have more hearings. Today, we've invited Mr. Giuliani, and Mr. Giuliani has brought forward witnesses that he says have firsthand knowledge of fraud. That's what we are doing today.
And if we want to find out if...
Please let me finish.
Yes.
All right. So if you want to do other hearings, we're doing more hearings. But today we're here to hear from these people. So do you have a question for these witnesses?
No, I have some concerns, right. Well, many concerns, and I want to just share with you
out of order.
What
right?
the concerns
out of order.
are.
Do you have a point of order?
I'm sorry?
Do you have a point of order?
Yes.
What is your point of order?
Point of order is to have them under oath.
You're out of order. As I've said, this is something that is not done here in this state. It's really only...
it may not be done under the state, but you're allowing people to come in here and lie, and I know they're lying.
Representative, you're out of order. I've indulged you, but you're out of order.
Though the rep did not present or refer to any contrary evidence or testimony. And further, Johnson has been accused of trying to intimidate and dox Mrs. Jacob in a public hearing.
Okay. Good evening.
Good evening, Miss Johnson.
Your name is Jesse...
Jacob.
Jesse Jacobs. Is that your birth name?
Okay. My first name is Jesse. When I was married, my husband's last name is Jacob. When I got married in 1983, 37 years ago, I had my maiden name. That's my dad's house name. It's a long name.
Can you spell it, please?
K like kite, I-Z-H-A-K-E-K-A-R-A.
Representative, what is your question, please?
I'm asking the question.
Well, please ask.
She gave a lot of information. I just want to know who she is.
Representative, please, it's reasonable to ask the name of the person.
Yes.
I'm with you there. But now that you know it.
What was your first name?
Jesse.
Jesse.
J-E-S-S-Y, not E.
J-E-S-S-Y.
Y.
Thank you very much.
Okay, now please move on to your question, Representative.
That's it. You asked that one.
However, this does not seem to have satisfied the representative's need for communicating her apparent disdain for the people with whom she speaks. On Facebook, in "A Warning to You Trumpers," Johnson said, "You know what, I'm just gonna let the elected leader speak for herself."
So this is just a warning to you Trumpers. Be careful. Walk lightly. We ain't playing with you. Enough of the shenanigans. Enough is enough. And for those of you who are soldiers, you know how to do it. Do it right. Be in order. Make them pay.
Now, while it is true that this is a clip from a longer 3-minute video in which Johnson claims to have been the victim of a lynching threat, she brings no evidence of such and makes no distinction whatsoever between the alleged harassers and any Trump supporter off the street. Maybe they're all the same to her? Who knows? And so, seeing this, I was immediately struck curious. You see, the terminology and phrasing used in this message seems deliberately vague, but the tone comes across as aggressive, or even, for those of a sensitive nature, menacing. It could be interpreted as someone issuing a threat, without trying to seem directly threatening. I wonder if that was the intent. She feels the need to warn people that she calls Trumpers. Is this an implication that ignoring her statement puts one in danger? Or are said Trumpers already in danger? Is she issuing this warning as a concerned citizen? Or is this an official warning from the Michigan state government? Will this be reflected in state policy for those governed? Or is she merely threatening actions from the mentioned soldiers? When she says walk lightly, does this mean to take care in speaking of the election, speaking of politics generally, or should the target audience simply wish to keep a low profile in all aspects of their lives? By using this term, is she implying that her targets should be paranoid? If so, who should they believe are out to get them? She goes on to say, "We ain't playing with you." I take this to mean that her statement, though deliberately vague, cannot be taken as a joke. But who does she mean by we? Michiganders? Detroiters? Democrats? The House of Representatives? Members of another group to whom she belongs? And when she uses the term we, does she imply that she's speaking directly on behalf of all members of that group, whoever they may be? Or is this simply the royal we, although that would possibly imply a certain amount of megalomania? Enough of the shenanigans is perhaps the vaguest part of the statement. Enough of what? If you want someone to stop some action enough to openly threaten them, you might want to make clear what you want stopped. Otherwise, you're just being a jerk. Your statement already sounds like an incomplete ultimatum. Is that what it is? Hardly what one would expect from a state leader. Her next statements are directed at soldiers, saying they know how to do it, that they should do it right, and be in order. So, if they're being referred to as soldiers, what sort of fight are they being directed toward? Is this an actual incitement to violence, to treat the current situation as a war? As for making them pay, I don't know any way to interpret this other than as a directive toward malicious intent. Whether she means to punish for some crime that she's accusing them of, or just to strike out at them, I see no way to view this statement as anything other than incitement. So, to Representative Johnson, are you sure this is the sort of leadership that you wish to provide for your constituents, issuing threats to those you seem to view not as opposition, but as enemies, even though you share a community, a state, and a nation? Do you consider the constituents who disagree with you to be beneath your concern, leaving them without representation? And further, do you believe it's a good way to express yourself in the position to which you've been elected? It seems like you're saying to the Trumpers that unless they stop questioning, shut up, and fall in line with the party, you're going to somehow deal with them. No negative connotations there. And as for your directives to your soldiers, do you really want to incite escalation of hostilities in this country to levels worse than they already are? Really? This is not good representation. This is in no way professional or even decent conduct. And this is lousy leadership. And to the people and government of Michigan, is this how you want your reps to act? Representative Johnson may have been removed from her committee assignments, but do you really think that will stop her from upping the ante the next time she decides to call for mob justice against her detractors or anybody like them? Is this statement something you find okay? This isn't some online activist or community organizer. This is a member of your state House of Representatives. Does this fit your standard for the way a sitting representative should deal with the governed populace? Do you want authoritarianism by threat to be the standard method of public address going forward? Is what she's doing, intimidating House witnesses, inciting conflict from a position of governing power on a public venue, even legal? I see statements like this from people in power, and I have questions. Now, I'm in no way an expert in communications, journalism, politics, law, or government. I simply think that some standards should be applied to those who are, and to the things that elected rulers on any level say and do. I'm nobody. You should in no way care what I think, but there is one thing that you may want to consider. I don't think I'm the only one with such questions, and I know I'm not the only one who's asking.